What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got some football focus. The Pittsburgh Steelers have had a heck of an off-season. This team never seems like it's done putting together a roster of young, talented players along with accomplished veterans. I have to give Omar Khan and company a lot of credit. Andy Weidel, Mike Tomlin, they are putting together the best possible roster for the Steelers. It is coming into this season the most exciting and most gap-filled roster with gaps that have been filled in that I've seen in quite some time. The Pittsburgh Steelers made another big signing yesterday, potentially the last big signing and the last piece coming into preseason and into finalizing the final 53, and that is one we've been waiting for a while. I've said on this channel one of the few gaps left for the Steelers coming into the season was an athletic inside linebacker. You have on the roster a bunch of thumpers, a bunch of downhill running back tacklers, a bunch of guys who get in the gaps and tackle in the running game, but don't do a ton as far as coverage and taking out slot guys and tight ends and stuff like that. You didn't see a lot of that. And in an NFL evolving game where there's a lot of slot receivers and tight ends who can do a lot of damage athletically in the middle of the field, Pittsburgh has finally signed one, Kwon Alexander. He came in for a visit before. He left without a contract, so we all assumed that he wasn't getting signed. Well, apparently, as of yesterday, he's been signed, and I don't have the details to that contract yet. As they come in, I can update you guys, but he got signed yesterday, and I think it is potentially the best possible signing we could have made of all the free agents out there right now. I keep hearing about Chase Young and all this stuff. We're not signing Chase Young. It makes no sense to me. Why would you sign Chase Young when you've already got the veteran backup from Arizona? You drafted Nick Herbig on the outside, who has been looking great in camp. You re-signed Alex Highsmith to a big contract. We're not signing Chase Young to be a 2/3 pass rusher. It doesn't make any sense. But this signing here with Kwon Alexander makes a lot of sense, but also it does crowd the inside linebacker room. The inside linebacker room now has a combination of, young talented guys, but really a lot of aging veterans who are kind of looking to fill the same kind of spots. Now, Kwon is separated by what he does on the field. Kwon has played 8 seasons now. His first 4 with Tampa Bay, and then San Francisco, New Orleans, and the New York Jets last season. He played four seasons with Tampa Bay, and then split 4 years between San Fran and New Orleans, and then last season played for the Jets. In his career so far, in his 8 seasons, he has 590 tackles, 49 tackles for a loss, 12.5 sacks, 11 forced fumbles, 5 fumble recoveries, 8 interceptions. So he's been very busy across the board. He is a high production guy. Kwon is one of the most diverse and one of the most complete inside linebackers in the entire NFL when he's healthy. We'll talk about health. But Kwon does a lot of things that a lot of our guys on our roster and a lot of the guys in the NFL right now don't do. Not only is he a gap-stuffing guy who can tackle in the run and rush, the quarterback and all that, he's an underrated quarterback pass rusher. He's not just a gap stuffer and a run stuffer. He can rush the quarterback off the edge. He can rush and do stunts and get inside. He also has no problem tackling on the outside, tackling in the slot, coming up to make the tackle, hitting guys really hard. This guy is an energetic player that will energize you because of his big hits. Even last season in his 8th year, which is considered quite aging for an inside linebacker, he's popping people. He is separating man from ball, and he is going after the football. A guy that will make big hits and splash plays and energize the defense. Kwon Alexander can cover. Again, he's not in his 8th season and coming off of injuries. He's not going to be the most explosive player in the world, but for a guy that age and a guy with an injury history, he's a guy that can pop you. He's a guy that can cover you. He can get pass deflections. He fills the stat sheet. He's bringing an energy and a style that a lot of our guys currently don't have. He is the athletic inside linebacker we've been trying to sign the entire time. Looking at Trenton Simpson in the draft we passed on. Looking at Isaiah Simmons from the Cardinals, who I would have loved for us to have traded for. He is the athletic inside linebacker we don't have on this roster right now. And I like what he's doing even at an advanced age. I can't imagine this is a big, gigantic contract deal, so it's probably just a win-win for us. But if you look at the roster now, it's pretty crowded. There are, 6 inside linebackers on this roster now? You've got Cole Holcomb, Landon Roberts, Mark Robinson from last year, the rookie who started 2 games last year and played 50-50. Played really good in his first start, not so great in his second start. Tanner Muse, the inside linebacker from Seattle, who was a special teams guy basically to fill the void from last year on special teams. that we lost from Marcus Allen. And then we have Nick Kwiatkowski from the Raiders, and now we have Kwon Alexander. So you've got on this roster 4 guys, really 5 in Muse, but Muse is a special teams guy. But because Muse is going to stay on special teams, and he's going to be one of our more valuable special teams guys, he was one of Seattle's aces, he's pretty much guaranteed a low-end spot on this roster. So now what do? You got 5 guys who could easily be on this roster. You've got Holcomb and Roberts, who are your 1 and 2. Holcomb did get burnt at camp the other day by one of the fastest guys in the league, Calvin Austin. No big surprise there, but Holcomb is your best overall linebacker. He is also coming off injury, though, but he's your best inside linebacker. He's by far your best cover guy. He's by far your most athletic until now. Landon Roberts has a starter's contract, but a low-end starter's contract, and could be competing for that starting spot now. You've got Robinson, who, again, showed some upside last year, hit pretty hard, made a few plays, but also missed a few assignments and didn't look consistent in his rookie year last year, who's looking to now put more weight on and be more consistent with his assignments this year. Kwiatkowski, another guy who started in the league for quite a while, and now you add Kwon Alexander. Where does this put Kwon Alexander now on this roster? Well, by virtue of 8 seasons of productivity alone, he goes ahead of Muse, who's only special teams, and he goes ahead of Mark Robinson, who's only 1 year in the league and has a lot of things to improve. He also, by productivity and by the cover ability, goes ahead of Kwiatkowski and probably goes ahead of Landon Roberts. I think now there's kind of a 3-way battle for that second spot. Cole Holcomb, I think, is your guaranteed number 1. Based on his contract and his productivity when he's healthy, I think Holcomb is your obvious number 1. Could Kwon Alexander be as high now as your number 2? He's a better overall player than a Landon Roberts, but a Landon, I think, is more consistent just in his numbers and also is more durable, more healthy. So it's going to be interesting to see, do they want to go with a Mark Robinson where he has the highest upside possible and he's shown something in a brief stint? Do you want to go with a Kwon? Do you want to go with a tackler in Roberts? Do you want to have those 2 cover guys and Holcomb and Kwon out there? Or do you bring Landon and Kwon in a 3-man rotation like how we did last year with Spillane and Miles Jack and Robinson? Do you bring the 3 guys in now while Robinson comes along? Keep Muse on special teams. I think Kwiatkowski will be gone with this move. You keep Muse on special teams, and then you kind of rotate Kwon and Landon along with Holcomb. Those are your 3 main guys, unless somebody gets hurt, and then Robinson comes along as your future guy while these veterans age out and get injured. So it's pretty interesting here. Last season, for the Jets, 69 tackles for Kwon Alexander, still productive. Played in all 17 games last year and got 12 starts. So, again, even coming off injury and being at advanced age, he is a pretty good player. In his last 3 seasons, 2020 he had 12 starts, started all 12 games that he played in, but didn't play in 5, but also was traded mid-season for between 2 different teams, San Fran and New Orleans. Started 8 games in 2021, 2021, and then last season started 12 games and played in all 17. So healthy last year, productive last year. Obviously, his biggest numbers were in Tampa, where I think in his second or third season, he had like 115 solo tackles and 150-something total tackles, one of the league leaders. He's not going to be that kind of productive, but you don't need him to be. With so many guys on this roster now that you can trust to at least be effective and be consistently in the game, with Holcomb, Roberts, Kwiatkowski, Robinson, you've got so many bodies now that if some of these veterans who have injury histories do get hurt, you have enough guys to plug in there to bring them back. But again, you're not going to keep 6 inside linebackers. At most, you're going to keep 5. And I think Muse is the least effective defensive player on the entire roster, but on the entire inside linebacker roster, but the best on special teams. So I don't think we're putting Kwon on special teams. We might. I don't see it happening. But it's interesting now, where does Kwon fit in? Does Kwon now compete with Landon Roberts? Is he competing with Mark Robinson? Could he start over Landon Roberts and be the number 2? Either way, I think you have a 3-headed veteran rotation on these top 3 guys, with Mark Robinson bubbling in the background in case of injury. And then Kwiatkowski, I think he may have just lost his roster spot. Unless we want to keep 6 inside linebackers, I don't see that happening. So, very interesting situation bubbling in Pittsburgh as we signed the biggest needed piece, an athletic inside linebacker who's been around for a while and is still explosive and can make plays. If Kwon can stay healthy, he can be a game changer. Holcomb and Kwon out there, 2 athletic guys who can hit, who can cover, who are rangy, who can play on different spots of the field, who can rush the quarterback. These two guys are complete inside linebackers who can play in different spots. Can they stay healthy now? Both coming off of injuries, being banged up the last couple of years. That's going to make the difference. But again, with guys like Landon and Robinson in the wings, you've got the depth and you've got the trustworthiness needed from this inside linebacker roster that I now think is complete. Is he as ideal of a signing in season number 9 as maybe a Trenton Simpson as a rookie would have been? Or Isaiah Simmons would have been? Maybe not. But is he more productive and more proven than those two guys combined? Absolutely. I love this signing. It is a low-risk, high-reward possibility for a rangy inside linebacker to complete the things we need on the field. And I feel really good about this Steelers roster coming in to preseason. Better than I have about a roster the Steelers have had for a long, long time. That is my news for today, guys. What do you think of this signing, Kwon Alexander? Would you have rather had Simmons or somebody else? Don't give me any Chase Young. Tell me what inside linebacker you would have liked, or if you like this signing and why, and what you think Kwon can do, and who these starting inside linebackers coming into this season are. Is Kwon enough to take over a Landon? You guys let me know. Tell me in the comments below, and please like, share, and subscribe this video. If you like my Steeler deep dives, I've got more coming. Steeler season is coming soon.